Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. And what I wanted to do in this video is, so in the very end of the last video, I was having a problem with Create React App. It was not installing. It would set up all the dependencies, but it wouldn't install the actual template that it comes with it. The reason is because Create React App was recently updated, and several people were having the problem. So basically what I did to solve the problem, okay, let me just get to so you can see the commands I ran. Okay, let's see here. Where's the command? That's the last one. And technically they were in the video description of the previous video if you want to know the exact commands. But basically what you did is you ran an uninstall just in case you had it for some reason installed globally. Then you did this install latest. I'm trying to see if I can find, here it is. We did this command here would actually find the most recent version of Create React App, bring it into your npm, so that way it uses that from now on, and then the command works like normal. So npx create react app tutorial 2, and that got us the right scaffolding as we can see here. Cool. So with that, if you're watching this video, if you don't really care about watching me move the stuff that we've done already into this new format, then probably within a few minutes after I just give a quick tour, you can just go to the next video where I'll probably be covering React Router. But if you want, what I'm going to do is I'm going to record myself moving everything that we've done that's in one JavaScript file and breaking it down into this sort of more broken up, more modularized workflow. So first we're going to get our server running. So here I don't need to use Light Server because Create React App, you have a server that's already kind of built in. So I just need to go into the folder. Right now I'm in the wrong folder. And you type in npm start. And that's going to start up a folder. Start up a server. So we'll give it a second to do that, and that'll open up sort of the template in Chrome. So you'll see sort of this out of the gate React template. Unlike what we did before, where we kind of did everything from scratch, we use a CDN, but the downsides of using the CDN is you couldn't really name a lot of the modules. So when we use things like useEffect, like the hooks, we had to type in react.useEffect, react.useState. You have to do everything in one file, okay? Because you didn't have the Webpack bundling everything that you have. Like, that's one of the benefits. Like, Webpack is kind of part of the React scripts that are built into this template, that when we run the build command, okay, there it goes, it's on the server. But like if you go to here, package.json, let me close down some of these other windows too as well. Oh, my computer's going to run a little slow. There we go. Now you have these scripts. So where we just ran start, that's going to run the development server. Build is going to it's basically going to run Webpack, which will bundle everything up into one that we can actually use for production. Okay, and that'll go, when you actually run that command, the new folder will show up in here called build with sort of that rendered version. And then test does testing. Never really used it before. And neither have I used eject. So I'm not quite sure what those two scripts do. But here we go. So now it's opening up the server on port 3000. And you're going to see like this basically template of like React in there pop up in a second at some point. Let's close down some of these windows to speed things up. Okay, I'll let that do its thing for a moment. So the folders you have in here is that technically this is the public folder. So if you needed to basically have other files to refer to, so basically you went in your index.html's here, because basically it's running an Express server underneath all this. Like there's a bunch of things going on underneath it that's built into these scripts. So there's an Express server here that has a public folder set up. So that means technically if you were to go to the root of your program, so this right here, localhost 3000, that's running this index.html. And kind of like we saw before, the index.html is going to have that div with the ID root that serves everything up. And really, unless you want to have other HTML files in here, or you want to put photos that you want to refer to in here, basically you would put any images or videos you might link to in here, but otherwise, you really don't need to do anything in this folder. It's kind of geared up. You may want to change like the title inside the head in here, so we'll change this to Alex Merced tutorial. And then there's this no script tag, and what this no script tag does is that if for some reason the person's browser doesn't support JavaScript, it'll say this: you need to enable JavaScript to run this app. And actually, I don't need this taking up all this space. There we go. And I don't need this taking up all this space. And actually, I can close all these for the moment. There we go. Much better. Okay. Otherwise, yeah, you don't really need to touch anything here. So you just leave it alone. All the work you want to do is in here. So essentially, again, everything works in through that root, which is going to be your index.js. And again, it's going to import React from React. So we're going to be doing this whole importing a lot. And as I transfer stuff over, you'll notice that probably a lot of the times the bugs I have are going to be because I forgot to import some piece into it. Okay, this is going to allow you to break up your program to many more files, but it's also going to lead to sometimes you banging your head because you forgot to import something and you're wondering why your particular piece of code isn't working. Just be aware that that's going to be a thing. So that importing all that. So technically, we didn't have to do these imports before because technically the CDN that we had in our index.html had brought those in through a CDN, a content delivery network. Now here's our React.dom rendering the app component. So that means everything really starts with the app component, which is under app.js. And the way this works is that generally we're going to want to make a folder in here called components just to keep things organized. New folder. Components. Cool. And here we have our app.js as built for this particular project. Okay, and now I'm just going to replace it with our app.js from our program. So, yeah, so just basically on every page, we're going to have to import React from React. Here, it's importing the image that's inside our public folder. So again, the public folder acts as kind of the root. So basically, if it's in the public folder, so you see the logo.svg here. Well, it's referring to it from somewhere, but I think it's just basically taking either one of those two logos based on size. Tutorial 2, public, but basically saying slash logo.svg, and it's going to look for that here. Okay. Now, we go to our other version, so our original version under this tutorial folder. Components, we don't never use that. Where is my index.js? Because all our components are here. So I'm going to open that up so that way that's available. First one I want to copy over is our app component. Okay, so let me just get an idea where all this ends. Well, I'm going to need context, so I'll have to remember to bring that in a second. Copy. Okay, I don't need this anymore. What I do need is my app.js in our new program. Close. Yep. There we go. App.js. And we're going to replace this with our alternate version. Okay, so there's our app from before. Same as before. The only difference is I need to make sure that I bring in context. Okay. So I think I need to bring in the actual function. Here's sort of the cheat way to do it. I'm just going to put an asterisk here. Now what this does is it's going to bring in the entire React library. Am I actually going to use the entire React library on this particular area? No. So this is a very inefficient way of doing things, so you do not want to do that. You want to make sure you're bringing in just the stuff you need from the React library. But just to get things working and avoid bugs, or actually what I can do is we'll see if it does work and when does it break, and add things as needed. So we'll just leave it at that. Import React from React, which actually should work because technically create context is from React. So we're bringing in React, so we should be okay. So let's examine our code, just make sure there's anything that needs to be changed. Cons app context, that's fine. React.create contents, that's app, constructor props. This is all good, good, good. Now we just need to start adding our other components. And we need to make sure our styling's in there. But we'll come back to the styling in a bit. Now our next component was the am body component. So we're going to create 2 new files. We're going to create a am body.js and a new file am body.css. And right now our website should be broken because it's right now I'm calling on all these components that has no idea where they are yet. So let's take a look. Yeah, so it's like, where is this navigation component? Where is this am body component? Where's all these components? I'm all so confused. Okay, so we'll fix that. So let's go back to our index.js from over here. So we did app component, so we're good there. And then our next component should be am body, which is a class component. So let's copy that down. Control that. Oh, wait. Am body.js, and I want to make sure I import React from React. We always got to do these things. I think that's it for now. And there's the component. And then I need to export the component. Let me just follow the same format as we did in app. So export default app. So this will be export default am body. Cool. And let's save that. That should be all good to go. Then I'm going to go back to my app.js. I got to make sure I import that component. So basically, eventually I have to make sure I import navigation, am body, and contacts page, because those are the 3 that I actually refer to in this particular file. So we're going to import am body from, and this file is going to be in components, because it's in the components folder / am body.js. Okay, and then I'm going to actually copy this over, head back to am body. I want to make sure that I put my CSS, or at least connect the CSS file for later, but not that one. We're going to be doing am body.css, which we have in the components folder. Okay, and this should be all good to go. So I've imported what I need to refer to. So now technically I should have one less error. Yep, now it just says navigation and contacts page are not defined. So we're getting closer. Let's keep working our way back up on index.js. The next component we have here is the contacts page. So we might as well just keep doing them in order. Makes it easy to make sure that we've done them all. So components, create 2 new files, contact page.js, and new file, contact page.css. Cool. Now first I'm going to copy over the actual component from our previous project. Control C, Head over to contact page.js. Copy that over. And then I got to make sure I import React from React. And I got to make sure I import I want to make sure I import dot contact page dot css. I want to make sure I put that slash there. Then I need to make sure that we export it. So export default contact page, because other files won't be able to find it if I don't put an export in there. Export default contact page. And the benefit of doing export default, you have two ways you can technically export it. I could have export default here, or I could actually just put it right in front of the name, like this. Export default. And that would work too. Okay, but I'm just following the style of the files that are already in here. Make it a little bit more declarative, make it a little bit more easy to read. That way you see that the export's right down there. It's just cleaner. Cool, so this one should be all set to go. Okay, so we'll leave that one alone. And then let me just make sure that the CSS file's done right. Yep, that's all good. So contact page is done. And then let's go take a look at what the next component's going to be. Blog page. I'll just copy it now. Copy all that stuff. Make my files back in my components folder. New file. Blog page.js. Blog page.css. Okay. Which file am I in right now? CSS. I'll leave that alone. Close that for now. Okay. Blog page.js. We're going to call that. And the reason why you want to, like, Webpack's going to come back and take a look at all these attached CSS files and actually change your name. So that way there's no possible overlap between these linked CSS files. So it'll actually like change the styles to be like blog page dash the names I have in there. So that way in case I have something with the same name in another file connected to a different component, I don't have to worry about it. So that's one of the benefits of Webpack. Because it's going to do all these checks to build everything, it's allowing me to have this much more modular workflow, which is great. So of course I got to import React from React. Okay. And yes, I got to import my CSS file. So /blog page.css. And then put in my component. And then export it. Export default. Okay, export default blog page. Save. Okay. And I am going to need to import the contact page and the blog page here because I do refer to both of those here, back here towards the bottom. Okay, because again here we have main page, so we'll eventually get the main page. Blog page, contact page technically gets called in app. Did I import contact page yet? Let's do that. Import contact page from, it's in the components folder. And its contact page. Okay. .js. I'm pretty sure I don't even have to specify the JS. It should pick up on that pretty quick, on its own. And this shouldn't be a .com. That's going to cause a problem. So that should do it. Just take out the JS's. Cool. And then you only need to specify the file suffix if it's not JavaScript, typically. Okay, save this. Now this is the body. Here we're going to refer to blog page. So import blog page from, this case it's in the same folder. So it'll just be / blog page. And then eventually we'll also have main page. So let me just get that in there. Main page from / main page. Now usually the setup is not this painful because we're not refactoring a whole application that we've already done. But again, the idea here is to just show you how that would be done so you can see the differences between the different ways we just did this. Okay, it's all about process, not just the facts. Cool, let me just make sure so that we've accounted for everything. Main page, blog page. Again, this is going to be passed in as a prop, so technically contact page is coming from the app, so we don't need to import it again. And here we're just referring to navigation is the only one that's missing here. Okay, we'll get to that. Just put my semicolons. JavaScript isn't that very strict about the semicolons, but I like to be strict because oftentimes if I'm going to like PHP or some other language, they're a little bit more strict about the semicolons. Cool. So next, main page. Okay, main page is a small one. Oh, main page. Look at that cute little component there. Well, we create our files. Okay, new file, main page.js, and main.css. There we go. Import React from React. And then we're going to import the CSS file. Import /main page.css. I think we're good there. Then we have the component. And then we export the component. Export default main page. So for example, if I don't like when you see how I'm saying import React from React, okay, when I do that, if let's say like there's a file that has like a bunch of different things that it's exporting, then I have to specify what I'm exporting, and usually that's when you see people have to do like this whole like bracket thing. But if there's only like one thing being exported, which is typically how you do it, it's just more neater that way. Each module has one thing. So export default says, okay, when you export from that file, it's going to export this main page, in this case, function. And I can rename it. I can say, hey, you know, this function is going to be called this, or something like that. You can, if you want to name it however you want for your project. It's easy to just stick to convention and stick to what it's set at. You know, no need to make things confusing. So that's done there. Let's take a look at the next one. Next is navigation. There's our navigation component. Okay, so then we get to create a couple more files. New file, navigation.js. New file, navigation.css. We go back to the JS, which is right here. Again, import React from React. Notice I don't have to do React DOM. I only have to do React DOM once for the app component, or actually not even for the index.js, because that's where I run the React DOM.render. That's the only time I ever really need that, so That's why you're not really seeing me bring in React DOM too much. There might be a reason I need to bring it in again at some point, but we'll see that as we work through the bugs. First, we'll just get all this boilerplate set up. Import /navigation .js. Okay, then let's put our component there, and then export it. Export default navigation. Save. Cool. I don't think we have much left there. Navigation. Nope. Then we hit to the top file. So we have all our components that we've created all mapped out there. Good. Now let's take a look at how our file's doing. So navigation's not defined. Okay. So let's go back to the file. That means let's go back to, I think, app. Yep, I never brought in navigation. Import navigation from /components/navigation. Again, I don't need the JS because it kind of just knows. I just have to make sure I point it to the right folder with the right name. So let's see what it says now. Okay, cool. And let's just see if this changes. Again, right now you're not seeing it styled because I haven't brought in the stylings yet. But let's see if I click on blog page. Does it work? Yes. And if I click on contact page, does that work? Yes. And if I type in this form, does it work? Yes. If I type in this, does it work? Yes. Everything is working. It's alive. Okay. Now we go now just to bring back our stylings, and again, this is why I made sure I commented the sections on our stylings when we did this before. I just have to copy this stuff right into the right CSS file. So copy. This should be in the navigation CSS file. So let's go back to source. Navigation. Did I make a navigation.css? I imported one, right? Oh, I did not. I imported itself. Must be confused. Okay, so save. And then I need to make the navigation CSS. Navigation.css. Okay, and I can just paste those there. Save. Let's see if that took. Yep, that's taking. Index.css, the buttons, that belongs to, that is in the body component where we introduce the buttons. So that's where we're going to want that. So that is in the AM body component. So that's going to be in its CSS. If I'm correct, the button should be styled when we go take a look. I mean, I can check. So you can see right here, the buttons should be, yep, right here. Here are the buttons. Okay. And they're all under the buttons ID class. So here, yep, that's starting to look like where we left it. I still gotta go figure out where that I have some extra characters. Some extra characters hanging out in some component somewhere. It's probably here in AM body somewhere. Or it could be in one of the children. Let's see, because it show up for all three. Yep. Yep, somewhere. Not the biggest issue at the moment, but somewhere we need to find some extra strokes. Okie dokie. So that's good. Let's see what we still have left in our CSS file. Main page has this. Copy. So that should go into main page.css. Save, and then where is it? Index.css. Blog page has this. and we never did styling for anything else. Okay, it's gonna re-render. Okay. And that all looks pretty much the way we left off. Okay, and we got a little animation there that we made a while back. Let's then now spend a few minutes trying to see if we can hunt down those extra characters. Let's see here. Oh, I think I found a few there. Let me just make sure. AM body. Yeah, there we go. That should be. Actually, render, that's fine. Well, why is that curly bracket there? Because technically this curly bracket's matching up with that, which makes no sense. So this is where the problem is. So if I get rid of that, and this becomes that, and that matches up with that. There we go. That should fix the problem. And yep, that clears that out. Okay, goody. Okay. Always says something unclosed or closed incorrectly. So when you start seeing these little weird characters hanging out. So yeah, there we go. We've transferred over, and see, this is much nicer. Okay, everything is in its own file. Okay, easy to figure out. And then when we get to like next.js and gatsby.js, it's gonna get even more organized. You know, it's a very nice workflow. But let's just see if we can show you anything else here. I mean, it has a couple of these other. Oh, I see. It has native, has Jest built in. That's cool. Jest is a testing library that basically allows you to do end-to-end testing. What it does is it sets up little tests to test the code. So that if you make changes to the code and the tests don't run the way they're supposed to run, then you know you broke something. And it just allows you to make sure that if you make a small change here, that you didn't break something over there, because you have things testing you throughout the code. That's something I'll be covering in the series. I do plan eventually doing a series on Jest and Circle CI, but that's not going to be this. So subscribe to the channel to make sure you can catch that when that does happen. Anything else we want to go over? Let's take a look at package.json. So we can see here, these are the dev dependencies. So see, that's why we see here, we see Jest. Okay, why? Because it's a dev dependency, because we don't need it in production. Once it doesn't affect the use of the website. It does affect the development of the website. Okay, React user events, React DOM, React script. So these are our dev dependencies. Now if we go to production dependencies, well, those are just the dependencies in general. They don't break them down here. Sometimes they do. Scripts, again, scripts are always just commands you can run. So these are the commands we can run. Browserless, Chrome on This is all stuff that probably Webpack's reading into. And there's this README here that gives you more information. So actually here we can see what npm test does. Launches the test runner, which is going to look for all your Jest tests. And how about the npm eject? If you aren't satisfied with the build tool and configuration choices, you can eject at any time. This command will remove the single build dependency from your project. Instead, it will copy all the configuration files and the translated dependencies, Webpack, Babel. Webpack is what bundles everything. Babel is what translates stuff to like older versions of JavaScript. Linting just means like checking your syntax to make sure that you're not only that your syntax is right, but it's also like formatted correctly, just to make your code better. Right into the project, so you have full control over them. All the commands except eject will still work, but they will point to the copied scripts so you can tweak them. You don't ever have to use eject. The curated features set is suitable for small and middle deployments, and you shouldn't feel obligated to use this feature. However, we understand that this tool wouldn't be useful if you couldn't customize it when you are ready for it. Meaning, if you really understand things like Webpack and Babel and how to configure them, then that might be a cool thing to do. But if you don't do it. And you can really just do a lot with the base template. And there are other create React app templates. Like that's sort of the new feature that people can create other templates. Yeah, I think this video's kind of gone on long enough, but hopefully, you picked up a thing or two here. That was good, definitely good practice transferring that over. And I'll see you guys later on. We'll do React Router. So now we're no longer going to be exploring features within the React library. There is some new features that are coming on down the road called Suspense, which are into to do with like making API calls and collecting asynchronous information. They're right now experimental features. I may do a video on that at some point, but we got all the sort of core React features out. What I want to do is make sure we talk about React Router in case you want to do routes, and then start going into Next.js and then Gatsby.js, which have a lot of really cool features when they're built, because they're built on top of React. And it's kind of cool because basically the way it works, like Next.js adds all these really cool features built on top of React, and then Gatsby builds on top of that and adding a lot of other cool features. So when you get all the way down to Gatsby, it's going to seem pretty robust. There are different situations in which you just use Next, and there's other situations in which you use Gatsby. We'll have that discussion, but this is cool stuff. See you guys soon. And again, make sure to check out my website, alexmercedcoder.com.